believe the recording has been started. Okay, I guess good morning. It's 10:05. Hopefully we'll find the stragglers coming in. We've had quite a bit of interest. Over 37 people have registered for the event. Hopefully they'll straggle into the call, right? So having said that, without further ado, I do wish to start the session so that we can get through the whole presentation. So my name is Ram Kumar. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for SIERA, a company dedicated to innovative technology solutions using AI for safety in material handling. Using AI to make forklifts safer and smarter is our goal. And today is the National Forklift Safety Day. And that's why we are presenting a webinar on making forklifts safer and smarter. Apparently, there's a big session going on in Washington, D.C. for the National Forklift Safety Day. And we recommend that all of our partners and OEM suppliers like Raymond, Toyota, Hyster, Yale, give out some free forklifts. As for us, we can install our value-added solutions on all of them. I mean, I remember going to Dunkin' Donuts on the National Donut Day and getting a free donut. Hopefully, if you go to Crown or Toyota showroom, you'll get one of those, meaning not a donut. I'm talking about a free forklift. Jokes aside, our session today will focus on using AI technologies. And let me put up the presentation, right? That is, okay. So our session today will focus on using AI technologies such as computer vision, machine learning, deep learning, and analytics to foster safety in material handling, in the manufacturing facility, in the warehouse, and in the distribution centers, right? And it's quite fitting that we're talking about safety on the National Forklift Safety Day to foster better training and better safety procedures. In this session, we will start with covering some of the data trends in commerce and supply chains and material handling, and then proceed on to understanding and explaining what are the impacts, what are the effects, and what can be done with the enhancement of these applications using AI. Now, I'm going to use a full screen presentation. This may mean that I can't see the comments box, but feel free to post your questions, comments, and we will attend to those at the end of the presentation. We'll have time for question and answers, and we'll go through all of them, right? So that's all right. Let's just dive right in. So by capturing some of the trends in the industry, we are a digital interconnected society with mobile, with internet, with 5G coming out. And as e-commerce on the increase, with online sales and distributor centers, warehouses being established all over the cities and towns with a hub and spoke model for on-time delivery. And it's a significant increase of forklift traffic to meet all of this demand within warehouses, distribution centers. And you're all familiar with it, given the fact that many of you come from that safety world. And the bigger trend is in space-time cost optimization. And that means narrow aisles and well-stocked shelves and fast turnarounds, shortage of skilled labor, and a do more fast mentality with all of these conditions means you're asking for trouble. And that trouble is described with one single word, that is accidents, right? And if we look at some of the stats here about accidents from the National Safety Council, you're talking about over 7,000 non-fatal injuries and close to 70 or even 70 plus fatal injuries that are happening, right? And EH&S Today, a magazine dedicated to the environment, health, and safety marketplace, estimates that any warehouse using forklifts has twice the number of accidents than any others, right? Which means that the costs are high, $100,000 worth of damages each year in most enterprises, with 96,000 injuries and a single injury costing over $200,000. $188,000 to be specific, in direct and indirect, and loss of pay and insurance claims. And there's significant labor churn affecting productivity and efficiency. And that's what I was talking about, average cost of a fatal injury. So how do you create a zero accident workspace? That's the biggest concern within a lot of enterprises today. And the most recent survey of the Warehouse DC Management Equipment Survey indicates safety is like #1 concern. And it's also the #1 factor for planning within enterprises today, right? And guess what? That is precisely what we want to address. And you may ask the question, with all of the precautions that OSHA regulations bring about, how come these accidents happen? It happens because the operators are only human. It's like questioning, why do car accidents happen? As long as we're driving it, it's going to happen, right? But what if, let's ask the question, but what if we replace the driver with an extra mind that maintains safety while allowing the driver to focus on driving and productivity? What if we just do that? I mean, that's akin to what is done on your smartphones these days. You got Siri and you got Alexa, and it's an introduction of artificial intelligence for performing some very simple tasks, right? It's about load balancing your operations with other functions that are managed by an AI mind. So to take a step back and understand what is artificial intelligence here is to understand that we as humans operate in ways different from machines. Teaching machines to get to the understanding of things that we have is AI. We at birth are coded with the minimum operating system, a minimum basic code that teaches us inherently to do some basic activity, eat and sleep, if you will. And then we add on to it through exposure, to training, through correction and retraining. It's a continuous process of learning and experience through time, right? And the same can be done for a machine, right? Just as we can be mentored to be a sportsman, a judge, a scientist, right? So also a machine can be taught to do a basic function and then retaught with some extra data to do additional basic functions, right? And retrained. And that's what we call machine training and machine modeling. Right? And we're going to talk a lot about how this plays out in the whole area of material handling. So let me restrain myself to talking about how does AI help safety in material handling. Lots of people talk about artificial intelligence these days in public forums, including Elon Musk, right? As to whether it's safe, how is it reducing risk, does it become more dangerous, etc. But let's not go all over the place. Let's just understand how do the component technologies of AI, such as computer vision, machine learning, deep learning, and analytics, help in safety in material handling? How do they affect the functionality and features of applications in compliance, in inspections, in monitoring for safety, and in prevention? Every one of these features, functionalities can be improved. They are improving, and we are improving it. And let's understand how we do that. Okay. And the components of AI are many, right? Let's start with computer vision coupled with machine language modeling. And this is a combination, a coupling that helps detect objects such that material handling equipment can maneuver around them. So we can generate vast amounts of data through sources such as cameras, sensors, LiDARs, radars, sonars to provide for vision data in many electromagnetic forms. With all of the synthetic data that is generated, we can train the machine to filter, to infer from it, then label them, and then model the machine to understand these labels, right? And build a platform where the inference engine can be optimized, right? And such that you can start building applications for multiple purposes and then deploy them over a public cloud, right? That is how it's done commonly. Now, the purpose for what we are building is vastly different from a self-driving, autonomous driving car on public roads. In this case, we're talking about some level of vision AI and ML coupled to do detection and maneuvering within very constrained, confined, disciplined environments like warehouses and distribution centers. And the task is to filter the optical information to understand humans or partial view of humans and other objects that are limited in nature, such as racks, such as pallets, such as perhaps yet another forklift, etc. kind of thing, is not as vast as objects on a road, if you will, right? And some of the other challenges that we face here are to allow for the equipment to handle or to operate both indoors and outdoors, right? And outdoor challenges are more given the fact that there are varying light conditions, varying dust and particle conditions, and varying weather conditions. And we have faced that with some operators in Canada with some minus 40 degrees, and things operate very differently, and the cameras may not able to function, or some of the sources may have some difficulties there. So the whole idea is to get all of this information, to infer from it, and make some interesting decisions and actions based on that. The next component of AI that comes in play to making material handling safer and smarter is analytics, okay? Making sense of all of this data. We talked about one form of data, the optical form of data coming through sensors, LiDARs, cameras, etc., which goes into our portal. There's a vast amount of data that also comes through the digitization of the initial process of material handling safety, which is the inspection, the checklist of both operators and the machines, right? And all of this, and the impact recording, etc. This vast amount of data over telemetry can also be analyzed. And if we were to apply some deep learning algorithms, starting all the way from a lower complexity and moving all the way to a higher level of optimization, we can get answers to questions such as what happened, right? Which is more information about the past to decide on the present, call it visibility, if you will. And a higher order of the same algorithms could answer questions as to why did an incident happen. And that is better understanding. And extending it further to get answers to the question, what will happen or what could happen, call it reasoning or predictive analytics. And the next set of optimization bringing us to answer questions, how can we make something happen, or can we prevent something from happening? Call it action-oriented analytics or prescriptive analytics. So you go all the way from descriptive analytics to diagnostic analytics to predictive analytics on to prescriptive analytics. And let's take an example of how each of these affect some of the material handling applications that are coming out to the market. Okay. And let's first jump into providing for visibility or talk about the descriptive analytics into what happened in material handling safety. Right? Um, the and these are example. Let me explain this by using some of the more often used material handling applications. Let's start with the whole digital compliance application. This itself transformed a lot of enterprises, moving from a paper checklist to a digital checklist to digital information, where all the login details of the operator, and that means the operational details of both machine as well as operators, the inspections of the vehicle, etc., right? Which provided for the rich operational data can be analyzed by an AI mind, okay, including the inspection documentation and the OSHA compliance reports that are generated. All of this data can be analyzed by a deep learning algorithm to find, call it gap analysis, to find the gaps that an enterprise may have overlooked, okay, which an OSHA agent may catch on to, right? So some meaningful gap analysis to identify the holes that needs to be filled in terms of maintenance, in terms of the operational gaps, in terms of the inspection gaps, and in terms of the OSHA compliance gaps, and also taking into account what the futuristic OSHA regulations can imply, can all be brought to bear to provide for what happened in the past and what should not be happening in the future. The same can be done with the impact monitoring application. And the impact monitoring application is to capture the incidents that happen, both contextually as to the scene of the accident and the operator's information, such that the severity of impact can be recorded, and as well some of the near close hits and close misses that may have happened, and the coordinates where this may have happened, etc. Then the deep AI mind, by analyzing all of this information, can provide for very useful and productive ways of allowing the users and the administrators in the future, based on historical information, define the severity of the impact, because it's possible the severity impact to be defined as high, medium, low, depending on the historical images of the accidents that may have happened, and also based on some of the near hits and misses, can identify what can be the configurable threshold, well, what's the distance, 3 meters or 30 meters or 3 feet, etc. And also based on the GPS tracking of the coordinates, identify what are the hot zones within the workspace, and create some geofencing mechanisms as to what operators need to be careful about, right? And while they are maneuvering around a certain bend or around a certain straight inside of an aisleway, etc. So it comes in handy to create some scenarios for next step measures. Now, moving on to the next diagnostic part of analytics, which leads to better understanding, right, as to why it happened. An AI mind can analyze all of the asset logs to predict machine usage trends and better match of machine to task, analysis of operator behavior and operator records and operator scores, right, can lead to better match of operator to machine. And the same can be done with an AI mind to lead to proactive planning by looking at all of the worksite performance stats to see where the optimization can be done, right? And leading on to also comparative benchmarking of the past to the present to identify the better trends of usage, the better geofencing that needs to be done, the tracking that needs to be done, lay out the plans for efficiency. Okay. And now that leads to reasoning, which is considered that the predictive part of analytics that we are talking about, right? And one of the biggest examples of that is in the pedestrian and object detection that allows the AI mind to decide the next course of action. Like in this graphic that you see, you're seeing a forklift operator backing up, and there's a human behind. And this could, the AI mind is going to read that as a potential danger lurking with impactful accident that may happen. And it's going to alert the driver with a audio and a visual alert, a red screen popping up that this is indeed danger lurking, got to be careful, etc. That's an example of what could happen as a reasoning or a predictive analytic alert, right? And the same can be done through other applications such as asset maintenance applications, which could alert where there is a lack of maintenance, where the maintenance schedules have fallen apart. And same for operators, where their training has fallen apart and where they need to be rescheduled for training, assets to be rescheduled for maintenance, right? And same for work sites where the space and time optimization has to be remodeled based on hot zones, etc. Right? So these are very predictive steps that can be done with deep learning algorithms being applied on the historical telemetry data. The last but not the least is what can be considered as prescriptive action-oriented steps or prescriptive analytics that can be brought to bear. And you can see this in a graphic that's going to come about. Here's a human being directed, and the forklift is slowed down and brought to a complete stop. So it is about speed control. It's about a safe stop. And further than that, even when starting the machine, we can deny unauthorized usage by cutting off access control if the operator is not certified for usage or has not gone through the proper certification in inspection procedures. Okay, and it can also be a tool for behavioral change by indicating safety first behaviors such as you got to wear a helmet or wear your belt, etc. kind of thing. So as you can see, we can use analytics, vision, deep learning, machine learning to impact every one of the existing applications, starting all the way from digital compliance and checklists to impact monitoring and on to preventative safety and on to safe stop and automation, if you will. And that's what we are all about as a company. A little bit about who we are, what we are. We're all about forklift safety, started in risk mitigation, moving on to pedestrian detection and automation today. We got started in 2017 to only on the risk mitigation platform, but we moved ahead to create a whole range of services that covers impact monitoring, collecting a lot of the telemetry for both OSHA compliance, for access control, and for pedestrian detection, and all this to increase productivity and efficiency, wide variety of customers, large size enterprises nationally, and we're getting a lot of demand internationally as well. We are all about retrofitting existing forklift and other material handling equipment to make them safer and smarter, and all through the usage of very simple components, a laptop, touchscreen notebook that's attached at eye level with an operator who's in a stand-up or a sit-down kind of a mode, and sensors, meaning cameras, front, back, sides, whichever way you want. You go 180 or 380 kind of view, and a control unit that combines all this information and is the gateway box onto our cloud server, where we maintain all of this information that we collect, the telemetry, the audio, video, etc., and do proper analysis, providing for historical trends on impact, on incidents, on inspections, on unauthorized access, and provide it centrally in a federated way across all of your work sites, right? And what makes us different from others is the fact that we collect all this data, and data is king for AI, that is applying and algorithms to all of this to create useful analytics and useful actions that result in saving lives and towards your journey to zero, if you will. And that sort of describes our roadmap. Started with some level of risk compliance, risk mitigation, then moved on to assisted driving with alarms, and onto visual and audio alerts, to a pedestrian detection system, and then to control of speed, and then stop, and then moving on to a higher order of automation, right? That's what our vision roadmap is. And that brings us to pretty much the end of our presentation. If you have any questions, you can post it now. Let me just resize the okay, going back to our, well, we're still back to 4 people or 5 right now. That's fantastic. So let's open it up for questions. I've not seen what's cropping up. Joyce, have you been making a note of any questions?
Yes, no, I don't see any questions. People who are on the call, we are open to taking questions right now.
There's one that's cropping up. How do you optimize the accuracy of information? I'm sorry, let's put it up. How do you optimize accuracy of information? And there's weather, extreme temperatures. Yeah. Okay, so that's a great question. Yes, our sensors are rated to operate from -40 to -40 Celsius to 85 Celsius. I think that's a pretty strong range of temperatures. And so the information that it's gathering in those temperatures are reasonably accurate. We have tested them. And in fact, in one such very cold situation, we have even designed a heat jacket for our cameras to make sure that the operating temperature is sufficient for the camera to capture depth and good resolution of data, right? So I think we can tell you that we've got sensors that are being tested in an operational mode to provide for the best accuracy of information. Now, it's not just about temperatures. We also have mechanical enclosures to operate, let's say, inside of a freezer or outside when there's snow coming down, the dust storm, etc. kind of thing. So I think we've taken precautions to make sure those things work in those as well. And in nighttime, sometimes with low light, we can use the infrared portion of the camera in low light conditions to provide for infrared images compared to the whole visual images. Yeah. Does that satisfy your question? Okay. Anything else?
So, Ram sir, you were talking about the analytics and actions that result in saving lives that differentiate Sierra from the others. Is there anything specific that you feel stands out from the rest of your competitors?
Yeah, absolutely. The greatest differential factor is that we provide for a complete package of applications all the way from digital compliance to pedestrian detection. And there is data collection along the way. And all of that data is being held in our portal. and we can apply algorithms to all of them in a holistic way. And to give you an example, let's take impact monitoring. We collect the geo information, we collect the visual information, we can collect the operator information. So there is, over a period of time, our algorithms can work over the historical data to identify what's at risk, machine, operator, or the geolocation, and formulate what combinations of that could be more optimal for usage. Not that particular asset, not this particular operator, and not in that particular location, right? And not with that particular load, etc. And those are safety procedures then that can be formulated. So it's a period of time. And today on a National Safety Day, it's all about our vows for training and safety. And I think this is an ongoing everyday task once you implement a SIERA system to improve on safety and procedures. So there is a commitment that is required on the part of companies working with us to make meaningful use of that data that they collect.
Absolutely, sir. I think George just asked me my info. Let me just type that in the chat box.
Yeah, I think it was, I have your name, Abraham. There's another person, I can't identify.
Oh, I
It
see,
says,
I see, I see.
so it's Chris, I believe. He's just responded to me. Thank you so much, Chris. He's from Granger. Yep.
So then, Ram sir, I know we have S2 and S3 right now, and from what I've heard, S2 is more popular than S3, and S3 takes a longer time for installation. That's what I've heard. I'm not sure, and I've also heard that the whole process for, SIERA.AI getting set up in warehouses takes about 1 month because of all the logistics. Do you feel like that might be an opportunity in which we could reduce the total amount of time that we get the product out from SIERA to our customers?
Well, not sure. I believe what you have heard, but I think SIERA 2 and SIERA 3 are natural progression of from digital compliance to impact monitoring, and then on to the next step of pedestrian detection with slow down and stop features. Okay. So it's a natural progression as we feel it. It's about layering software, upgrading at every point in time. So S3 is an upgrade to S2. There could be an S4, it could be an upgrade to S3. So that's a natural progression of how software comes about. It's like seeing Windows 10, Windows 11, etc. kind of thing. Right? In terms of installation, using our technical folks, tech folks, they do on an average close to 10 or less to installations in one day, and S3 installation close to 5 of them. And currently we have no lead time for S2s. We pretty much on demand we can install them. S3 on the manufacturing side, we are currently facing a much lesser lead time. In 90 days, we can get an S3 shipped out. So the good thing is we have a healthy backlog of orders, and we are fulfilling them on demand for S2 with some amount of lead time for the S3s. Yeah.
Got it, sir. Fantastic. Outside of the AI, would you mind if I talk to you in private later on with regards to the types of customers that you have right now and potential expansion in the West Coast?
Sure. Feel free to, yeah. We can do that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Chris, thanks for making it from Granger. We always welcome our Granger partner here, right? And thank you, Abraham, to being on the call. If you don't have any other questions, we can bring this to a closure. All right. Excellent. Thank you all for attending on the National Forklift Safety Day, right? Bye now.
Thank you, Ram.
Thank you.
Thank you.